If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Central Valley Talk. My name is Ray Johns. I'm your host, and the name of my show is Ray Johns American Patriot. This week I've got a very interesting patriot for you. Her name is Kathy Williams, and believe it or not, she was the first African American to enlist in the United States Army during the Civil War. Well, the way she did it was when she tried to do it as a woman. Of course, they said no. They weren't accepting actually any women at the time. Well, she went back home, beautiful girl, cut her hair, dressed like a man. You know, it took her weeks to find get everything right so that she looked like a guy, and went back and re-enlisted and enlisted, was successful in enlisting, and fought several battles and had several heroic acts. And I think she was commended on 3 or 4 different occasions. But what happened was she was wounded, and during an operation, when they found out that she was a woman, she was discharged. But they did discharge her honorably. What happened after that was that she went and returned to her old name. Her name was Kathy Williams, and what she did was just turn her name around, and she was instead of Kathy Williams, she was Williams, William Kathy, or Mike, Bill Kathy. So she changed it, and she went back after the war, or after she was discharged, and she joined the Buffalo Soldiers, the Black Buffalo Soldiers, and she fought with them and rode with them for years. Wow. She had what a great story. You can look her up on Google, and it's very interesting. There's several stories about her. She's the kind of thing that someone should write a film about, because it would make a great movie. I'm back with Mike, Gary. I'm going crazy. I'm thinking about
you got the last name right.
Yeah. Anyway, my buddy, and he's got a lot of things. He was telling me some things prior to the show starting today that were pretty interesting. You should tell that story.
Yeah, Ray. One of them is people who are
you're gonna love this.
Who are Trumpers. We seem like we're always challenged by a libtard. If in fact you end up crossing paths with one, which I avoid like a plague.
I never run into them.
I don't.
Or if I do that,
if I know where they are, I can spot them pretty much by what they look like. And so, but anyways, we sit there and we sometimes feel like that they're attackers. That's their whole deal. They attack you, whether it has anything to do with anything that makes any sense isn't important to them. But one of the things that I found that works pretty well, I always use that. What is Trump doing for America and for the American people? You don't want it for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much stops it all.
Sure, it does.
Every now and then you kind of maybe want to have a little more fun than that.
Oh, here it comes.
And so what I ask is, especially if it's a snowflake type libtard, and I say, it says, here's the situation. I said, you've just inherited a multi-million-dollar estate from this aunt you had. And
you're going to love the story.
And she didn't become a millionaire because she was stupid. She knew what she was doing. And anyway, you were the only heir, and she knew you pretty well. And so what she did is she says, I'm going to do it this way. She says, I'm going to bequeath this estate, but he's going to have to decide who's going to be the executor or the manager of this $5 million estate, because I know he can't do it, and he'd lose it in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. So what I did here is I'm going to give you 3 choices. You pick one of the 3, and then you tell me why you picked the one you did. Now, here's the thing. There's only going to be one that is going to be successful with that estate. If you pick the wrong one, that estate will no longer exist, it'll cease to be in the state in a very short order. So basically what we're talking about here is competency. And we have three people that you're going to choose, and it's going to be your choice. And the three people that you're going to choose, now you have to, when you choose, you have to tell me why you chose that one. And whatever of the three, you have to tell me. And I said, and the three are Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump. You pick one of those three and tell me why.
You want them to run
And
this
you
estate.
understand that if you pick the wrong one, and there's two of them that would be the wrong one, but if you pick the right one, your estate will grow even more than it is today. But that decision is up to you. Which one are you going to choose?
I love it.
But now you got to tell me why. Well, why did you pick Hillary? Why did you pick Barack Obama? Why did you pick Donald Trump?
I love it, Jerry.
Yeah, and you know that brings it back to some kind
Of course.
of reality. I'm not suggesting that every libtard would pick the right one, because they probably won't. Because
But I think a majority of them would.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
trouble
I mean,
trouble
if
it is
you
you got to
think about-
remember we're talking about common sense.
Well, that's true. Very true. Very true.
But I mean that is kind of the way. But isn't that faced? Aren't we faced with the same
Absolutely.
question? If you
Absolutely.
think about it, every American's faced with this. We're being handed this country. It's in every voter's trust or management or decision as voters,
Yeah.
whichever one has.
Yeah.
So isn't the decision that we make for ourselves personally, isn't that also a personal decision to make?
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely.
And when we want to hire the most competent person that is available to us, and if we only have three choices and we can only choose one out of the three, which one of those are we going to pick?
I love that.
You know.
I love that.
So that's one of the things that there's two things that I like to use whenever I find myself trapped by a libtard. But you know, it's getting harder to find some that.
I'm telling you, things are changing. Plus the fact, I think you touched on it not long ago when you said, they wake up and realize, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was, that was me.
Well,
And so-
there's a real big awakening coming about here shortly, and we'll break it down like this.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Because what we're having is that we have an issue with all our departments, our elected officials. I mean, all the way across this country of corruption
Oh, absolutely.
and crookedness and so forth, right? And it's everywhere. It's in anywhere. Well, you can't go on like that as a country because eventually you become a banana state. And of course with that always goes freedom.
Sure.
And the
absolutely.
whole thing always gets down to basic freedom. Freedom for what? Freedom for us to maintain and have the pursuit of happiness, whatever it is for whoever it is, right? So we want to maintain that, and it's very precious. In fact, that's the thing that probably separates us from every country in the world, or any country in the world, is the fact that we have that opportunity that no other country has, which explains why people keep trying to come in here.
Sure, absolutely.
That's one
it
of
is.
the things. Okay, so in order to preserve that, we have to be responsible individually. And what has happened over the last, I want to say 50, 60 years, and it probably went on before, but let's just look back on history a little bit. At one time, Ray, it was envisioned that the people who served the country as a congressman or a senator or a president, you were picked by your peers.
Yeah.
Or you were picked by a congressman. Now, and it was like you was being drafted in the Army. So let's say, Ray, you're out there at your mobile home, and the community kind of decides that, I think the best representative we can get for here would be Ray Johns. And they all think so, and there's a reason why they think so, is because you've demonstrated some kind of something that they feel that they can entrust on you, not only your honesty and so forth, but also your capability. And they said, well, the best guy from our district is Ray Johns. So they go out to Ray Johns, and they say, Ray, you're going to run for the Congress next election. And you say, well, wow, I can't do that. I got a business to run. You know that people went broke because of doing that. Yeah. But you felt like you owed it to your country, and you were picked by your peers to go back and represent. So there was no motivation for you to go back other than the fact that you're serving the country for a 2-year period. Yeah. And that was how we kept it fresh with the citizens running the country instead of lawyers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so what is evolved is that it's come to an end, and primarily it is lawyers.
Sure it is.
You know, they go to school. Do they produce anything or make anything? No, they just learn the law, and that I look at it as using the law because other people don't know the law. So
that's a good way to put it.
You know, I mean, if I don't know the law and you do,
yeah,
I'm at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden they go there for their one reason and one reason only. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. The point is they go there for one reason, and one reason only is to better themselves,
of course,
not the American people. Yeah. That's what the country has come to, and it has been this way for quite a while. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go back to where we are right now, or let's get to where we are right now. It has become so pervasive all over, and all the way up and down in these departments and all areas of government of nothing but corruption and crime and crookedness. Well, that undermines the confidence of the people, and they no longer have confidence in their government, and that's a dangerous thing to get into.
Which is basically what was happening at the end of the Obama era.
Yeah. You know. And it had started way before that, of course, but so it's like lobbyists, right? What do you need a lobbyist for anyway? You know, I mean, lobbyists writes the laws now. I mean, you send a guy back there, he doesn't write anything. The lobbyists tell him.
Sure.
They write it for him. In fact, he doesn't even read it, probably. Mm-hmm. And so this is attempted to be shifted now with Donald Trump with his, what he coins, the drain the swamp. Mm-hmm. Okay? So let's think about that a little bit. Of course, number one, he didn't realize the swamp was as deep as it is. In fact,
the swamp is deep.
He said it a couple times already. He said, "Man, I had no idea it was this bad." You know? And so anyway, they're in the process of that. But let's look at the phases, what he had to think about.
Okay. Right.
Because this is important for the public to understand. Mm-hmm. Okay, he realized the most important thing in people's mind is always the economy, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So he said, I need to get this economy turned around to get the people's attention. And, of course,
which he has done.
Which he has done, right? That was the number one thing. And before he did anything else, you know, and he tackled a number of things with that, of course, was mm-hmm. the health care, which is a very, important. And so that gets wrapped into it. So now all of a sudden we got this corruption going on. In the meantime, he gets investigated with the Russia right from the get-go, right? Yeah. Well, I look at that as a two-edged sword. You know, it's mm-hmm. too bad, but at the same time, we would never have known the amount of corruption there is had there not been that.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, basically, we talked about that, Ray. Basically, what Trump has been doing is patiently laying out rope.
Yeah.
I mean, he could quit. He could end sessions. People get on sessions. People get on Mueller. This. He could end all that, mm-hmm. but he doesn't. He just lets it out there mm-hmm. patiently, and he takes the bullets.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the other thing he had to do was worldwide is we had to get our trade in order because we were
especially with China.
We were getting nailed by the trillions. You see. And it's kind of interesting when you think about how his strategy is on that to diverse a little mm-hmm. bit. Is that, he builds the military. Oh, that's like I'm ready to go to war, right? But he has no intention of using that military. He just wants to have it there.
Yeah.
Okay. And
he wants everybody else to know.
And he knew that he had to demonstrate a few times that yes, he's willing to use it, which he did.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like your dad had that strap on the ball. Yeah. Well, after the first time, he didn't have to use that strap very much. You knew it was there.
Oh, yeah.
And
It kept you in line.
yeah, and he didn't really have to use it. And that's kind of what Trump does with that military. Okay, now, but he knows the real weapon is the economy of a country, and that is what he uses. So then we have a peaceful solution rather than bodies being killed. Think about this a little bit, Ray, because I was thinking about that. We're talking about war. Go back to World War I, II. I mean, any war, right? Okay, if you'll notice a difference between Trump's strategy and every strategy you go back to far as you want to go, there is a big difference. And the difference is Trump uses the economy and not the bullets. Now let's think about this. What happens to leaders when bullets are used? Nothing. It's other people that take the bullet. They get hit with the bullet. I mean, it's all our, it's all of us. We're soldiers, and we have to take the bullet in any war.
Yeah.
Not the leaders.
Not the leaders, of course not.
But Trump gets the leaders with the economy. Think about that. So the leaders are taking the hit when it's Trump they're facing, and not the people walking up and down our sidewalks and going to our high schools and our people aren't taking the bullet, but they did in every other war that you ever heard of. But not with Trump. The leaders are the ones that see, and he does that by the use of the economy. Well, because the economy is a direct, the leaders are going to get overthrown, or you see what happens to a leader if they start feeling it.
Sure.
And so, instead of bullets, Trump uses the economy. Okay, instead of the kids on the street taking bullets, the leader is getting hit. See the difference? It's huge. I would bet that there probably, if Trump had lived 1,000 years, there probably wouldn't have been a war in 1,000 years.
Probably wouldn't.
There wouldn't be a Vietnam. There wouldn't be a Vietnam.
If you look at the Mideast, we may not be here to see.
Well, he wasn't going to go to the Mideast.
Yeah. I think they ought to give him the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, my good,
I really do.
Look at the people that were killed in the Mideast that wouldn't have been killed. Yeah. Because there would have been no need for it.
Absolutely.
And you think of Korea. I mean, let's face it. Right now, where would we be? How do we know where we'd be if Korea was allowed to continue on? Had Trump not come along? Yeah. What's he using against Korea? He's not using bullets. In fact, he sent the airplanes. He said, "Man, that's too expensive. You guys going up there doing all them war exercises. Just stay home for right now." Yeah. And who's taking it? Who's having to feel it? Is of course that guy. And he got down to where he said, "Man, I can see right now that it's not going to do me any good."
He's got people over there starving to death anyway.
Yeah, I got it. In fact, I think what really kind of made the cake for that guy was when Trump says, "I can guarantee you, I'll promise you a McDonald's franchise when we get this over with."
I love it.
That little fatso, he loved him McDonald's.
He did, didn't he?
Oh man.
Yeah. I called him the little short fat black guy with the long coat and the bad haircut. He had one. My goodness. We're going to take a break here, Gary.
Okay.
And we'll be back here, ladies and gentlemen, in just a bit. Bear with us. We'll be right back.
An American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
On August 12th, attend the Fresno Dixieland Society's Summer Dance with John Pemberton at the American Legion Hall, 509. Call 559-779-2484 or visit FresnoDixie.com for more information.
The Saga of Bridget and Amanda by Carol Love Forbes. brings to life the struggles of historical women in early America. Find The Saga of Bridget and Amanda on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order your copy today.
Kristen McIntosh is a real estate broker who prides herself on providing the highest level of service to her customers. Her enthusiasm for achieving desired results is an asset to her clients. Contact Kristen at 559-419-0333 and visit KristenMcIntosh.com. Protect yourself by letting private investigator Michael Morgan Clark get the facts you need in matters of infidelity and divorce, corporate investigations, criminal defense, workers' comp, child parental abduction, wrongfully accused. Michael Morgan Clark will investigate anyone. Call 559-785-1900 or visit clarkinvestigations.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today.
Okay, and since I'm getting a lot of calls about the show that we're going to do live, it's called Celebration of Women. Hopefully, we're shooting for the 31st, which is the last Friday of this month, and we'll let you know more. We're going to give away a lot of nice things, gift certificates for the Elbow Room, Whole Foods, several women's stores. I'm going to read from 18 Rules of Happiness, and we're going to give that book away. We're also going to, there's a bestseller called Feminine that's on the bestsellers list. I think it's 2 or 3. I'll read a little bit from that, and we'll give that away. And we've got a couple of testimonials, hopefully, that we'll get from people that have been cured with alternative medicine with cancer. And so that should be inspiring. It's going to be an inspiring show. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to give away some stuff, and we're going to learn a lot, okay? And we're going to celebrate the highest form of life on this planet. We're going to celebrate women. Anyway, I'm back with Gary.
Ray?
Hey, buddy. And we were talking.
Yeah, we were talking about what Trump's doing with the peace thing, what I call keeping of peace, because he made the pain, if you will, when you're in the deal and getting back. This is very important, because I don't think there would even be a World War II if Trump had been around.
The way he's
well,
going,
think about it.
Yeah.
Because who takes the bullets? It's not the leaders.
No.
But who takes the bullets under Trump's program? The leaders do. Because if their economy goes down, they're gone.
Absolutely.
You see? And that's a big thing. That's a huge. And when it comes to foreign policy, and they all thought Trump was what does he know about foreign policy?
Well,
hell, he knows more than he can go back to Genghis Khan as far as that goes. So anyhow, that's something that people have to consider and be thankful that it's been handled the way it is. I mean, can you imagine that right now if we had these nuclear? Who knows by now? We might have been in a nuclear war.
Very possible.
It's very possible. The big thing, though, what we have to do as a country, and I'm going to try to make it real simple, Ray, it's got to be an equal law for everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter what. It's got to be, and you got to feel that, And the only way that can be done, of course, is that the law is treated equally and the justice system. And so what Trump is doing is replacing these liberal judges as fast as he can.
Best move.
Because there's
absolutely.
Let's face it, liberals are hypocrites. They call everybody else racist, and they're the most racist that there is. And you know that. We've experienced and talked about it. So if we think about what's going on right now, as an example, one of the rules that the communists use is whatever you do or doing, blame the other guy.
Yeah.
For doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so that's what they've been getting by with. And so come to find out, all this Russia, which we've been diverted in with Trump, come to find out it's the Democrats who were the ones who were colluding with Russia.
We would never have known.
And we would have never known. It's
Like you
coming
said,
out
it's
right
a,
now.
like you said, it's a double-edged sword.
It was the Democrats that were colluding with the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary and they paid, oh my God, who knows how many millions of these people. That's all coming out now.
Someone was just telling me this week, now I don't know if this is true or not, about Feinstein's...
Well, she had a Chinese spy for 20 years as her driver.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that unbelievable?
You know what blows me away? Had that have been Trump,
Oh my God.
That would have been headline news for 3 days, 3 days
Well-
running. You heard one little stench about it. That
Here's
was
the
it.
thing about the media. And once you understand this, it's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Understand, number one, that the media is controlled and owned by the elites. Okay, the establishment.
The
elite.
Soros and the...
Yeah,
such,
and all these
yeah.
news journalists and so forth,
They're puppets.
they're puppets, they're
Yeah,
hired hands, and this kind of
absolutely.
thing. And when we say, like, the media is the enemy of the people, they are the enemy of the people. There's no question about that, because it's what they don't report that's just as important as what they do report, if it is fake
Here's
news.
the sad part about it. They have an obligation.
And they don't
They don't fulfill that
No,
obligation.
and they're not
you know.
being accountable for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At
Yeah.
all.
And so, thank God for the internet that we all get to be a lot smarter.
Mm-hmm.
I often think that too. I think, if it wasn't for the internet, a lot of things would not be that we now know, we would not know.
No.
And I often wonder, well, would there have been a Korean War if there had been an internet back then?
That's interesting.
Would
Gary,
there
it
be
really is, because you've got a very good point.
Would there have been a World War II had there been an internet back then? Would there be a World War II if there had been a Trump back then? With the internet,
Yeah.
which he uses. So it's the internet in some ways it's got its faults, of course, but in some ways I think it is something that keeps the public informed, because you're not going to be informed by the fake news.
No, you're not.
You see.
More and more people that didn't believe that are starting to believe it now. Too.
Well, and here's the thing: I don't. It's not just what they say that maybe might be a lie or whatever, but it's what they don't say that we
yeah.
never get privilege to unless
yeah.
you had an internet.
Yeah.
You see.
And that's what I'm saying. Their obligation
Right.
is they're not fulfilling their obligation. They're supposed to report
Right.
what's what.
And they're all
not have an opinion about it at all,
Right.
but just report it. That's it.
Well,
You know?
they're all agenda driven, and
Sure.
they're hired for a reason, because they can best express what the head duck wants them to say, which happens to be the establishment elite.
Yeah.
And so they do not want. We're talking about trillions of dollars that they risk losing.
Well, of course.
Of course, they are losing with Trump in there. I mean,
This is why they hate him.
which is why they hate him. There's one guy, I forget how many, $4 billion he lost in one day. He's a Russian. He's the one that's tied in.
Well, with Hillary and yeah, $4 billion he lost in a day.
Yeah, they're in Hong Kong stock market.
That must have crumbled that real quick.
Jeez. And he lost $23 million in the Russian market that day. I think it was yesterday. But the public is becoming more and more informed and more aware. You see, and it's small maybe, and it's little, but it's stuff like that awakens people to things like the walk away.
Sure.
People say, "Wait a minute, I've been wrong on this," and so I'm going to walk away. You see. And it's difficult for people that have been. I mean, it's like anything else, You went to Chowchilla High School and that dear high school, I mean, it's in you,
Yeah.
and it's hard for you to sit there if you've been a long-term Democrat, going way back, to realize that your Democrat Party left you a long time ago. You were just
Which they did a long time ago.
Which you're just hanging on and foolishly.
And there's a lot of them like that.
Yeah, and it's foolish.
Unfortunately, a lot of them.
But, and then they echo the same thing. You'll notice how liberals yell. Well, when you yell, you don't say anything, but you yell.
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, that's one of the tactics that they use. And one of the things the talking point, it's interesting how if you run across a liberal, no matter where, how their talking point is always the same. In this one, Ren, we talked about it earlier. Well, Trump's vulgar. Well, is he vulgar? I mean, come on, is he? I don't see anything vulgar about him. Do you?
No.
I mean, he goes to these rallies and he like this lady said, he talks just like I do when I'm home. You know, so but people are looking for something to grasp. You see.
Absolutely.
And so any suggestion, but I just ask the people a question, you know, like we talk about the question, we're talking about competency, which it's the most important thing. You know, it has, yes, you have people that you like and you don't like and so forth, but Ray, when you're in trouble, man, you just need help.
Yeah.
And it's the people that could help you.
Kind of like that old fireman story you told me. You know? About the guy that you don't care what he's done, you know, as long as he's holding that hose.
Yeah, just hang on to that hose. So anyway, we're getting to that now, and we're going to see now in the next, probably it's going to go on for years, but we're just now starting to get to that part, and what Trump wanted to do is wait until now because we're going into midterms.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to have it too soon because people forget.
Yeah.
This way it's fresh on their mind as they start exposing this corruption for what it really is. And people are going to start to wake up more and more, all right? And then we get into the people that start questioning themselves. They may not admit it to you or something like that, but they're starting to think a little bit. About, wait a minute, why am I back in this, or why am I doing that? Maybe they don't have the fortitude to do what they really should do.
Like I said, they're starting to change. You can see it, you know.
Yeah. And this Mueller investigation,
Yeah.
and it's going to be interesting how that all shakes out, you know. And but I think it has actually worked to Trump's advantage.
Oh, I do too.
Even though he had to take all the arrows and all the bullets. I mean, let's face it, nobody would like to be treated like he was treated, or has been treated, is being treated.
Yeah.
But he's been taking the bullets in order to get this, otherwise it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, and Mueller right now is in kind of a box right now, and this was another reason for having this delayed, is that we're within 90 days of this election in November.
Yeah.
So any move that Mueller makes is going to be construed as political.
Sure it is.
So he can't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if he goes one way, well, that's
Yes.
because of the Paul. He's using like Comey did with Hillary.
Exactly.
Same thing, right?
Yeah. He's just got it.
And the public is aware of that. So he's going to be criticized if he goes and does this because that's political reason he's doing that. And so he's pretty much in a box right
Yes,
now.
he is.
And he's going to be in that box, and so I think what you'll see is that's going to end. I don't know, you know, how culpable he is. Personally, I don't know that yet. But I think he's in deep trouble.
I think he is too.
You see, and so were all the people involved there. You know, and I mean, I just read some stuff before I came on. I mean, we're talking about drugs even being involved.
Are you kidding? I didn't know that.
Yeah. You know, there was a big airplane, unmarked, U.S. That's all it had, little USA. I don't know if it was a 7. It was a big. It wasn't a 747, but it was, you know, a big airplane went down to Little Rock, and man, they hauled boxes and boxes and boxes out of Little Rock.
Yeah.
Now, why is an airplane going down to Little Rock?
A U.S. airplane.
Yeah. And hauling out boxes and files, whatever is in that, in Little Rock. Well, who was the governor of Arkansas?
Mr. Bill Clinton.
That whole thing was nothing but that Mena, Arkansas. That's a long time. You wait and see. There's going to be a big drug involved in a lot of stuff.
I bet you're right.
Well, you know, it's just common sense in a way. When you think about, well, look what went on with Iran. I mean, we're talking about what, $150 billion
dollars that Obama gave
of cash.
Yeah, yeah,
in pellets.
yeah.
Loaded on unmarked airplanes in the middle of the night. Now, what's not shady about that?
That's very shady.
I mean,
It's very shady.
I mean, you would think. I would think. Okay,
And nobody ever explained anything.
Yeah.
Anyone ever did was say he
where's the
gave him
reporting?
$150 billion. No one
Well,
ever said why.
wouldn't you go if you was Obama? Wouldn't you go down to the bank and tell the bank, "Hey, we owe those guys 100. I just made a deal for 150 billion. Send them a check."
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, well, they want cash. We'll send them a cashier's check.
Yeah.
No, you go and load in the middle of the night on unmarked airplanes, pallets and pallets of
Money.
of real
No,
money.
that's a little bit shady.
It's a little shady, isn't it? And so, I think this thing it's going to get real ugly, Ray. But it's necessary if we're going to survive
Sure it
as
is.
a country.
Sure it is, and Trump knows that, and he's not going to.
Well, that's what he promised the people.
Yeah.
And if you'll notice, there hasn't been one promise that he hasn't. In fact, he's done more than he promised.
Sure, he's way ahead of everything.
He's ahead of everything.
Yeah.
So I think that is a big, important deal that's going to come up now, starting as of, quite frankly, to me it seemed like it started yesterday is when they really started nailing into it. And that's
So you think it's going to start and it's just going to explode, huh?
well, it's going to explode. How much the media tries to suppress that and how effective they are, I don't know.
You think this is going to happen before the November elections?
Well, it has to,
That's what I'm thinking.
and it's not going to end because it's going to take years.
Well,
by
sure.
far. But you see, all over the United States, a lot of people are mad at Sessions. Well, I don't know. I'm not happy with Sessions either. But think about this for a minute. What if they did this too early? It's kind of like when you're sitting there going hunting, and you're looking at and you got a flock of quail up there. Well, you kind of wait.
Yeah.
Remember that? What was that song? He says, "Wait till you see the white of their eyes."
Oh, yeah, that was, what was that?
Going up the Mississippi.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that song, yeah.
Right, you remember that?
Oh, yeah,
Don't
I
fire your muscle until they're.
You can see the white of their eyes.
Yeah, and that's the way with this. You hit too soon, and you're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
It will take them by surprise. Don't fire your muscle until you look them in the eye. Well, see the whites of their eye. Well, that's what Trump's doing. You can't do this too soon because you'll screw it up. Okay, now think about this, Ray. As they get closer into it, you notice how these people keep coming out and exposing themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's good reason for that, and the reason is, can you imagine if you're somewhere in that chain down there? I mean, you might be a lowly FBI guy there, but by God, you're starting to wonder. Well, I wonder if I'm getting caught in this deal. There's got to be a lot of people that haven't been sleeping very good for a full year.
I bet. And it's going to be a whole lot more.
And it's going to be a whole lot more. And so I think that this thing, and Trump said it, it's far worse than what he thought it was. And it's necessary, or else we're not going to have a nation. Until we start treating people lawfully, this equal. And see, another thing too, Ray, the longer this delayed, what keeps happening? Trump is putting more judges in there, replacing the libtard judges. Now, it wouldn't have done him any good to send all these people to a libtard judge.
No.
Because they just let them out.
Well, sure, that's
what they've been doing anyway. So he's replacing those judges. Well, as each day goes by, more judges of the right caliber is now in place. So when these guys then go face these judges, they're not getting this.
Yeah.
Take a
free
walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, and a lot of people don't understand that. They say, well, why didn't Trump do this in January? I mean, he could have fired those guys a long time ago. Well, it just wasn't the right time to do it. You got to.
Exactly what
In fact, I'm not so sure that it's even. He may wait till after the election. But the longer he waits, the more judges he replaces.
Yeah.
And this is very important. In fact, that's probably one of the more important things that Trump is doing, along with everything else. We don't hear about it, but it's happening.
Yeah.
Is this? There's been no president replace this many judges in this length of time.
Oh, I know. I read something like, I forgot how many.
Yeah.
Districts.
Circuits.
Just a ton of them.
Right.
Already.
So when he gets that in place, for every judge that he replaces, that's one less judge that's going to let somebody that should be out. Because it could be the The IRS. It could be right here in Fresno that some IRS agent is a traitor of sorts.
Sure.
So you wouldn't want that guy to go before a liberal judge, would you, that lets the guy out? You want him to go a judge that serves justice as justice is supposed to be, equal to you and me.
Yeah, exactly. Because
So-
it certainly isn't.
Yeah, it's not, right? And the public is starting to realize that more and more. And that's one of the things. So I'm kind of making an excuse for why is Trump taking so long, or why is this taking so long? And so I don't think it's taking so long. I think it's taking the right amount of time necessary.
Yeah.
I think that I mean, like say, well, I'm getting impatient. You say this all the time. I'm getting impatient. Well, why are you impatient? You didn't even know about it before.
Yeah.
You weren't impatient before. Why weren't you impatient 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know about it. And I said, that's right, but now you do. And now you're impatient.
Yeah.
No, let's get it done the right way,
Yeah.
the effective way. Because if we do not do it right, we're not going to have the kind of country that we're supposed to have.
That's right.
Don't you
That is
see that,
definitely
Ray?
right.
Don't you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely I do. I certainly agree with it.
And I don't have, I mean, you can question it and so forth, but I just put my trust in the fact that, Trump knows what he's doing. And far more than what anybody else could,
I certainly believe he knows.
especially if they were, if they were complicit, like Obama was. Obama was just nothing but a puppet put in there.
Yeah.
And like Hillary would be. I mean, now there's an evil, crooked.
Yeah. She's just a crooked
Oh
puppet.
man, she's a.
Gary, we're going to take a little break here. And a couple of minutes. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay.
'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Okay, I'm back, and I'm back, of course, with Gary. And we don't have a whole lot of time left. And Gary wanted to end on...
Yeah, I wanted to talk about
So-
something that I've observed or been observing a little
Okay.
bit, and who's happy and who's not happy, And I've talked to some people about that. It's pretty interesting. You
love the
talk
topic.
to you talk to a Trump person, and they're happy. And I just talked to one today, and he said, I'm really happy about what's going on. I mean, people are happy.
I'm pretty happy.
I mean, don't you
Yeah.
see that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now you talk to a libtard and they're very unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would you rather live your life with every moment
It's
is
a no-brainer,
precious?
yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you rather be happy than unhappy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is no such thing as a happy liberal right now.
Well,
I
I haven't
there-
seen one.
you look at them, and they ride in the streets. They do all. Or if they're not doing that, they're at home unhappy. I mean, just don't have to be a rioter, but they're just unhappy people if you happen to be a liberal. And I thought,
I've never understood that.
well, just understand this much. Why is it then that there is a segment that people, and a reason for it? There is a reason to be happy right now.
Well, heck yeah, there is.
So why not enjoy it? Like maybe generations, there was probably generations that's gone through that never could have been happy. I mean, how happy can you be during the Depression? Not very happy if you happen to be living back then.
Jeez.
I mean, we look back at or how would you like to be, how happy could you be coming across here looking in covered wagons?
Yeah.
But people right now, as more than ever, as Americans, we have a happiness that is, we should embrace it.
Absolutely.
And enjoy
well said,
it.
Gary.
And enjoy it.
Absolutely. Things are getting better, ladies and gentlemen.
And enjoy it. And don't
Yeah,
you?
you know.
I start to feel a little bit sorry for these people that don't get it.
Hey,
You know? I mean, they're miserable.
Sure they are.
So I wanted to leave it with the fact that there's a great reason to be happy, feel happy, and be happy.
Good. I'm glad you
You
did.
know, and that's for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a liberal, think a little bit. Why am I so
Good point.
unhappy?
Good point. What makes me so unhappy?
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Well, we're ending toward the end of the show here, and once again, hopefully this week we'll make an announcement about the upcoming show at the Elbow Room, a celebration of women. I'm so excited about doing that, and I've got so many people that are going to come. It's going to be a fun afternoon, and I don't know if we're going to be able. We're going to have a very short time. It's going to be an hour to put all that together. So they may extend it and give us a little more time. I'll find out from Mike Serenian, owner of the Elbow Room, and Mike Briggs, owner of this radio station. So we'll figure it out anyway, and we'll let you know as soon as we can. We're going to have a lot of fun, as we do every single week. And let me tell you a story today about a policeman that I had an encounter with earlier in the week. When I walked out of Walmart, and of course I had on one of my Trump shirts, and the policeman was walking up, and he said, I like your shirt. And I said, thank you very much. I said, as I do everybody. I said, I have 19 of them. And he spun around. He goes, you have 19 of them? And I said, yeah, I wear a different one every day. And then I told him about the radio show, and my little thing that I do at the end of the, and he said, oh man, he says, you have no idea how much that means to us. And I said, well, we want people to know how much we appreciate our law enforcement agencies. And then yesterday at Starbucks at Fig Garden Village, when I left the office and I stopped there, and a guy was talking to me, he was from out of town. He was talking to me about my shirt. And so he was a retired policeman from San Jose, and so we started talking. And this Japanese girl sitting across, she said, my dad's a policeman in Kerman. He's right over there. Well, her dad came over and shook my hand, and we talked, and and then his sergeant comes in, and he didn't know he was going to be there, so that was kind of funny. And so we all stood around talking for a half an hour. It was a wonderful encounter with these wonderful law enforcement agencies. So when you see one, be he CHP, sheriff, Fresno PD, any law enforcement officer, go up and let them know how much we appreciate them.
Well, Ray, Sunday, I had something.
Oh, did you?
But here's where it triggered me on that. When Trump was going to one of his rallies, there was a group of firemen, I don't know how many, and he stopped his motorcade, much to the chagrin of his Secret Service.
Oh, yeah, they hate stuff like that.
And he went over and shook hands with every one of that group that was standing on the side of firemen. And I'm thinking, man, that's just like old Ray Johns going over there,
That's really cool.
And I'm thinking, well, man, that's what Ray Johns would do. He'd stop that motorcade and go over and shake their hand.
Thank you, Gary, for saying that.
And so then what happens is Sunday I'm going, and I see this group of policemen standing together on the side of the sidewalk there. There was about half a dozen of them. And I said, damn it, if Trump can do it, I guess I can too. So I stopped and went over and shook their hands and did exactly what you did.
They appreciate it
and
so
they
much.
did, absolutely.
They really love it, man.
But
they don't get that.
But here's the thing that a byproduct of that, Ray, is that you feel good.
Yeah, don't you, Gary?
I mean, what a great way to have a day.
I remember you told me one of the first times you started doing it how wonderful it made you feel, and people have come back and said that. And what's so nice is I run into policemen all the time that know about it, and they come up and shake my hand.
Oh, is that right?
So that's
cool.
It's kind of coming around. So please
great.
let them know how much we appreciate what they do, because they protect us, and they have a thankless job, believe me. And it's time that they were thanked for what they do.
Well, Ray, if the President of the United States can do it and does it,
we can do it.
Why can't we?
We can do it. We doggone right we can do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet joyously again next Friday, and we will have a date for the show, heaven's blessings.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.